Las autoridades cubanas han mantenido comunicación sobre este intento terrorista con sus contrapartes estadounidenses, incluyendo el Departamento de Estado y el Servicio de Guardacostas. Está en curso un proceso investigativo dirigido a esclarecer los hechos con todo rigor. El gobierno cubano tiene disposición a intercambiar con el estadounidense sobre este hecho. Entre otros requerimientos, solicitaremos información sobre los implicados, el medio utilizado y otros detalles a las autoridades estadounidenses mediante los mecanismos vigentes entre los dos países. Las autoridades del gobierno estadounidense han mostrado disposición a cooperar en el esclarecimiento de estos lamentables hechos. Es oportuno precisar que los 10 individuos involucrados son los siguientes: Cristian Ernesto Acosta Guevara, Conrado Galindo Serrior, José Manuel Rodríguez Castelló, Leordán Cruz Gómez, Amijail Sánchez González, Roberto Álvarez Ávila y Pavel Alín Peña, Manuel Ortega Casanova, Ledián Padrón Guevara y Héctor Duani Cruz Correa. Estos últimos 4 son los fallecidos. En una información inicial se mencionó, por error de apreciación en la identificación, a Rolando Roberto Ascorra Consuegra, quien no forma parte del grupo, si bien es una persona conocida por su trayectoria vinculada a acciones e intenciones violentas contra Cuba. Las autoridades cubanas han dado a conocer con regularidad al gobierno de Estados Unidos información de las personas que en los últimos años se han dedicado a promover, financiar y organizar actos violentos y terroristas contra Cuba. Esta información incluye la lista nacional de personas y entidades que han sido sometidas a investigaciones penales y se encuentran buscadas por las autoridades cubanas a partir de vinculación con actos de terrorismo. Ella se elabora en conformidad con la resolución 1373 del Consejo de Seguridad de la Organización de las Naciones Unidas, las normas y principios del derecho internacional y el ordenamiento jurídico nacional. 2 de los perpetradores, o sea, 2 de los que vinieron en las lanchas, Amijail Sánchez González y Leordán Enrique Cruz Gómez, están incluidos en dicha lista que fue compartida con Estados Unidos en el año 2023 y en el año 2025 y gozaban de impunidad dentro del territorio de ese país. El gobierno cubano aún espera respuestas a las solicitudes sobre ellos y el resto de los individuos y organizaciones incluidas en la lista emitida. Los grupos anticubanos que operan en Estados Unidos acuden al terrorismo como expresión de su odio contra Cuba y la impunidad que creen disfrutar. Cuba ratifica su compromiso absoluto y categórico contra todos los actos, métodos y prácticas terroristas en todas sus formas y manifestaciones.
Several wounded people involved in a speedboat shootout incident on Wednesday were taken to this hospital in the central Cuban city of Santa Clara. Cuba's government said its forces killed 4 exiles and wounded 6 others who sailed into the country's waters aboard a Florida-registered speedboat and opened fire on a Cuban patrol. The country's Interior Ministry said the group was comprised of anti-government Cubans, some of whom were previously wanted for plotting attacks. It said they came from the United States dressed in camouflage and armed with assault rifles, handguns, homemade explosives, ballistic vests, and telescopic sights. The Interior Ministry added that, quote, according to preliminary statements from the detainees, they intended to carry out infiltration for terrorist purposes. An additional Cuban suspect was detained in connection with the plot, according to the statement. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio told reporters it was not a U.S. operation and that no U.S. government personnel were involved. He said the U.S. Embassy in Havana would attempt to independently verify what happened.
I don't know who has possession of the vessel, which is the first thing we would want to have. We obviously want to have access to these people if they are American citizens or U.S. residents. But I'm not going to speculate now because right now still a lot of the information that's out there is information that's been provided by the Cubans. We are going to verify that information independently and reach our own conclusions.
The incident took place as the United States has blocked virtually all oil shipments to the island, increasing pressure on the communist-run government.
I don't know who has possession of the vessel, which is the first thing we would want to have. We obviously want to have access to these people if they are American citizens or U.S. residents. But I'm not going to speculate now because right now still a lot of the information that's out there is information that's been provided by the Cubans. We are going to verify that information independently and reach our own conclusions. And then there are a number of things that could have happened here. But I'm not even going to speculate as to what it could have been. It's a wide range of things. Suffice it to say, it is highly unusual to see shootouts in open sea like that. It's not something that happens every day. It's something, frankly, that hasn't happened with Cuba in a very long time. But we're going to find out. We're not going to base our conclusions on what they've told us. And I'm very, very confident that we will know the full story of what happened.